and I really want to get your thoughts on this, what you feel, MPG area. And to me, as great as Lisa and Wendy and all of them was, and that was a great band and classically trained musicians and all this and that, but to me, that band was the nastiest, funkiest band that he has absolutely ever had. What do you think of, from that Diamonds and Pearls era? Because to me, that's some of the greatest, some of his best work, man.
Yeah, I like that period very much. I was coming of age at that time. So
funky.
When the Diamonds and Pearls and the Symbol album and all of that was out, I was still a diehard Prince fan, because where he would have a lot of the funky stuff on the album, he would have a lot of the melodic stuff on the album, he would incorporate a little hip hop here and there. I just couldn't get past the genius. I couldn't get past it, because he was doing all of these things, but he was doing it better than everybody else.
What he was playing at that time was really unreal. When I first heard Diamonds and Pearls, man, I was so blown. And I heard it, the first few clips on our Arsenio Hall show. I saw that when that actually aired.
Yeah.
He opened up before he went into Let's Go Crazy.
I remember that night very well.
Oh, man, he had the white guitar, man. I was just kind of like, what is it? I had never heard it before. And then he went into, I think, Let's Go Crazy or something. But he just gave us a sneak preview of what was to come.
He hit hard with Diamonds and Pearls. He hit hard with Cream. But he tore the house down when he did Insatiable. That was something that people expected, those kind of things from Prince, because he had done Do Me Baby and The Beautiful Ones. But Insatiable was another one of those Prince signature slow jams.
That's my favorite song on the album, too. It really is. It really is.
He killed us with it.
In fact, I close Soul School with that song from time to time. I like I say, Prince is a vibe.
Most definitely, man. I mean, this period of time, 91, 92, when once again, Prince is dead, right? Prince is gone. And he just reinvigorated the industry with these things, you understand? And I remember him touring for the Diamonds and Pearls album. I remember him coming to the city. And I remember how much of a deal it was during that time. Like, Prince is here, you know what I mean? And this is when I'm 13 years old at the time, so I'm really beginning to feel that vibe that you're talking about, where people are getting ready. Like, yo, 2 weeks in, we getting ready to go see this brother, you know what I mean? Yeah. Tickets are selling out in 50 minutes, you understand? And this was 13, 14 years deep. The brother's still affecting people like that. And I'm telling you, man, I was just, me and my sister would sit up and listen to the Diamonds and Pearls album all the time. And there was a jam on there called Strolling. We would sit back and laugh like, man, what the? This sounds like a Christmas song or something, right? And then as you listen to it again, you be like, wow, this is nothing but jazz, pure jazz, man. You know what I mean? And he was doing all of these things when it was supposed to be, Prince was, he got this new band and all they doing is, acting rowdy and doing this. He was still doing beautiful music on record, man. It was just that was a beautiful time period, man. Because, remember, this was when the Uptown movement began. Jodeci and Mary J and Heavy D and Andre Harrell. This is when that movement began. But Prince was still on top of the game.
Remember it well.
Prince was still on top of the game.
That was a hell of a time. That went on with Warner Brothers, but when he did the MPG stuff, which is my favorite stuff in particular, later on, as far as the latter stuff that he would do, when he did, The Good Life, number one, we hadn't had funk like that in a real long time, but a lot of the lyrical content, which was very, very key here, what he was talking about was really very deep. And then he took it to another level and he did Count the Days. And, I could talk about Get Wild on that album because that's one of the nastiest cuts that he's ever done. But I kind of want to, push that to the side, if I may, to talk about Count the Days, because I want to close the show with that video because it's one of the coldest pieces and the most conscious pieces. And this is something that people generally don't talk about also when they speak about Prince's career. And I want to get a thought from you before we get out of here and we have a final thought on his legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. When you showed that clip years ago, it was actually the first time I had ever heard it, because MPG wasn't played on radio during that time. So when I'm hearing this song and listening to the content as he says, I'm thinking about that time period and wondering, like, what was he really thinking? Because I understand at that time, he was the only artist only visible artist, only popular artist who was taking a stand against the industry based on certain things that were going on. So when you listen to songs like this, you basically listening to 1990s protest music. You understand? So when you watch the video and things like that, you get to see, various things in the video where you can see that he's basically saying, to hell with it, I'm just gonna do what I want to do. And this is what that time period was about. MPG, I think, was more about freedom of expression than anything. More, and not that he hadn't had freedom of expression before, but during this time period, I think that, he admitted that he was angry, of course, but he was also, sometimes that anger stirs your consciousness, and Count the Days is a true and visible realization of that, man. Yeah.
Cold piece. We're going to get out of here with that. Your thoughts, finally, on Prince, his whole thing.
Yeah. He's the total package, in my opinion. He's one of the entertainment business's greatest icons. To me, he ranks as the icon of the industry, in particular music. And like I said, man, his just vitality and his endurance and his durability is unmatched by anyone. Because when you talk about long careers, there's been artists who have had extensive careers, but not a lot of artists have had careers where they were still producing quality material 35 years after the fact. And he's still doing that. So all respect to the king.
He, for me, and I go back to what I had said in part one. When I started thinking about, I'm gonna get a little bit more extensive, and then we gotta go. But being 4 or 5 years old and hearing that Motown stuff, and then studying chess and Atlantic and so on and so on, funk movement, everything, disco, everything that there is. He is a cat that totally does not remind me of anybody who's ever been around. And you can say certain aspects, Richard this or whatever it may be, but I'm just talking about as an artist. He totally just reminds me of like nobody in reference to what he was actually able to do and is still doing. And even, I think the thing too that I pretty much love the most is he really loves to play. He really, really loves to play. He's always been like that. He's gonna do the big gig, and then afterwards he's going to do what we call the brown bag gig, where you go do the small place and you get your money in a brown bag. And now he's going to go have some fun for the band and just go get into some other stuff, and you may hear him playing, hot pants or something like that. He's just having fun and probably doing like what he would do when he first was coming up. So he didn't lose that aspect of it, which is something that I've always loved. And then I'm also reminded of a story that John Blackwell, former Prince drummer and a very close friend of mine from way back, told me one time. He said that when he had first got in Prince's band, he said he was at rehearsal, they was jamming all night truck, and he said that they had jammed all the way up into sunup, and this is just a thing that Prince would always do with the band or whatever, and then they go home and sleep, and you get a vibe, and you wake them back up, and let's go back to it. But right when they was getting ready to get up out of there, man, Prince put the guitar or the keyboard, whichever one he was playing, I'm trying to remember, he put it down, and then John started playing 77793. John Blackwell's a drummer, and he started hitting it. And Prince kind of like looked at him and said, yeah, that's it's about as close to the drum machine as I've ever heard anybody play it. Then Prince went over and he grabbed the bass, boom, 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 and he just started playing, and then they just jammed for another few hours or whatever it may be. And people forget, even though it says Terry on that Time album, that's actually Prince playing the bass line to 7779311, which is very, very wicked. And I just think about story after story like that, and everything that encompasses everything. He's somebody that I will always treasure. And even like in the studio, the last person you see when you walk out of here, I have a picture of Mate, Prince's ex-wife. And right when I'm leaving the studio, and people who know me know when I'm in here working for real, but the last person I see is his ex-wife when I walk out the door. So that's